Good evening and welcome to our council meeting for a public hearing. I'd like to call this meeting to order. I need a mover and a seconder to adopt the agenda. Denis and Dave. All those in favor? Any disclosure of pecuniary interest? Seeing none, we'll move to the zoning bylaw amendment application. So this evening, there's a public hearing scheduled for one zoning bylaw amendment. The Planning Act requires that the public hearing be held before council decides whether or not to pass a zoning bylaw amendment. The public hearing serves two purposes. First, to present to council and the public the details and background to the proposed zone rezoning. And second, to receive comments from the public and agencies before council's decision is made. Monsieur Dumont will provide a summary of the application. From there, the applicant will be requested to make a presentation by live webcast, though I don't think the applicant's here, right, Matt?
That is correct.
That is correct. Followed by questions from the public via live webcast or in person, either in favor or against the proposal. Council will then have the opportunity to question the applicant, the director of planning, or anyone giving presentation. The zoning bylaw amendment will then be considered by council later this evening. Monsieur Dumont, would you please advise how the public notice was presented?
Notice of public hearing was posted in the municipal office and was sent by mail to the assessed owners within 120 meters of the property subject to the zoning bylaw amendment this evening, and to those persons and agencies likely to have an interest in the application. So the notices were sent on February 22nd, 2023, being over 20 days prior to this evening's meeting. Included with the notice was an explanation of the purpose and the effect of the zoning bylaw amendment and a key map showing the location of the subject property.
Thank you. I now declare this portion of the hearing to be public hearing to deal with application number ZBA 23-01FR Miguel Coulombe. Monsieur Dumont, will you please summarize the purpose and effect of the proposed zoning bylaw amendment and provide any additional information and correspondence relevant to this application?
Thank you. So this evening, the council for the municipality of French River is hearing the rezoning application. Last week, the planning board heard the severance application. So Miguel provided two types of applications. One was the severance, which was approved on March 9th by the planning board for the creation of a residential rural lot. Subsequently, part of that approval, the condition was to have the balance of those lands that was created to be rezoned to residential rural. So the purpose this evening for the application is Miguel wanted to increase. So he had a lot on Highway 6160. That's Highway 64. He also owns the property at 6168. So he owned both properties. Long story short, both properties merged on title, and going through the severance process, rather than separating the existing properties, Miguel chose to say, well, while I'm going through this process, I'd like to make the property that I'd like to reestablish, because it was very undersized. It was only 0.71 hectares. It was a very small property, and it only had about 48 meters of frontage. So he said, I'd like to make that property larger. So he had the ability through that process to add some acreage. So he added about 2 hectares. So altogether, he was looking at now creating 2.7 hectare lot, while still maintaining that existing 48 meters of frontage. But because he's creating a new lot, part of the issue was the other lands that he had owned, which is 6168. It's a very large parcel of land. That's all rural zone. And so when he wanted to come back and look at just creating that small lot and kind of taking a little bit more land, well, that little bit more land was rural zone. So the intention tonight is to rezone that little portion of land to residential rural, because the whole property has to be residential rural at the end of the day. And at the same time, when we rezone the application for that small lot to residential rural, We're also going to acknowledge the regulation of the frontage, which is approximately 48.68 meters. So we're going to regulate a permission for that frontage, because frontage for the residential rural zone is 60 meters. So obviously he's under that, but that's okay because that was existing before, but he's going to be enlarging the lot. So we have to recognize that now, along with the use of the property, which is for residential rural purposes. So that's why the application is brought to the council tonight for that reason. And again, he's just rezoning a portion of that little property. Now, with respect to agency comments, Highway 64 is maintained, and it's an assumed highway through the Ministry of Transportation. So we did receive comments from the Ministry of Transportation. They were supportive of the severance application in principle. No changes to the lot frontage occurring, which is true. And the residential entrance permits should be acquired. So basically, MTO said they would like Miguel to reach out to their office so that he can have both entrances that are existing today, have them registered legally for both properties. So that's 6168 Highway 64 and 6160 Highway 64. So I've shared that information with Miguel, and should he have any further questions, he will be contacting our office for us to assist him through that process with MTO. And the Sudbury District Health Unit did get back to us with respect to the severance portion. And he did have supportive comments from Sudbury District Health Unit, and the municipality of French River had no objections or concerns to the application this evening with respect to the zoning. And as for the public, we did not receive any objections with respect to phone calls or emails for the application tonight. So with that said, the rezoning application is consistent with the provincial legislation as well as the official plan for the Sudbury East Planning Board, and conforms to the municipality of French River zoning bylaw 2014-23. Therefore, can be supported from a planning perspective.
Great, thank you very much. Since the applicant is not here, they don't have a presentation to make. We don't have any members of the public online. No, we do have 2 members of the public here. Did you have any questions with regards to this? Okay, well, that's a good start. If you know where Highway 64 is, that's a good start. That's a good start. Okay, great. Any questions from council? Well, it seems pretty simple. Since there's no further questions or any comments, then I declare this public hearing to be concluded. It's now in order for council members to make a motion for council to consider the application. So I need a mover and a seconder, Dean and Bob.
Be it resolved that bylaw 2023-16 be a bylaw to amend zoning bylaw 2014-23 as amended, Miguel Coulombe, be read a first, second, third time and finally passed.
All those in favor? Thank you. So I declare this public hearing to be concluded. Please be advised that there is a 20-day appeal period during which time any person or public body may, no later than 20 days after the day of giving of written notice as required by section 34-18 of the Planning Act is completed, appeal to the local planning appeal tribunal by filling with the clerk of the municipality a notice of appeal setting out the objections to the bylaw and the reasons in support of the objection, accompanied by the fee prescribed under the local planning appeal tribunal. During this appeal period, no building permit may be issued or other work commence. So I need a motion to adjourn. Renee and Willie, all those in favor? Thank you. Thanks, Matt.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Council. And I apologize in advance for my lateness with respect
That's okay.
to the application tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, Roger. You're on mute. You're on mute. Oh, there you go.
There we go.
Okay, so now you have to switch over to the other meeting.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll see you in a couple minutes. I just
All
have
right.
to check on my kitties to make sure they're alive.